Well, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. It's really good to have you all with us again. And I'm excited to have a good friend of mine joining us today. Maria, how are you doing today?
I am doing well in snowy Albuquerque. We've got
I
winter.
heard that.
We sure
That's amazing. It is not snowy weather in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not even cold. So I think a lot of our friends in the Midwest and even toward the West, the mountains and such, got snow, which was unbelievable. I think, in fact, Tracy's not with us today. Uh, she actually had some ice storms, I think, come through, and she was having some internet issues. And so we said, okay, well, we'll just handle it without you. But we miss you, Tracy. Look forward to having you back next week. And if you haven't already, let us know that you're here, whether you're tuning in on the Ascend live stream directly on the Giant platform, if you're watching on our LinkedIn page, or if you're tuning in from our Facebook page, wherever you may be watching this from, please go ahead and drop in a comment and let us know that you're here, as well as where you're tuning in from. Good seeing some friends like Russell Soden tuning in from across the pond today.
All right.
He's sharing the love for Maria Guy. We love Maria
Yay.
Guy. That's so awesome. Well, if you haven't been with us before, let me kind of give you a little bit of a backdrop to what this all is about, and then I'll set up Maria, who's going to be sharing a lot today. First of all, my name is Chris Adiger. I'm Director of Partners for Giant. It's my privilege and pleasure every single day to be able to work with consultants all over the world, like Maria, like Russell, and others. And we do this live stream every Tuesday afternoon on the platform. For those of you that are consultants that maybe aren't connected into the Giant space, just to hopefully be able to serve you today. I'm excited, especially for Maria being here. Maria, I don't know what number you are, Maria. It probably doesn't matter, but I know Maria's been like in the top 5 easily of our consultants worldwide over the last several years. And so her being on here and what she's going to share based on wisdom that she's collected as she's built her own successful consulting practice is just going to be really invaluable. And that's really what this is about. This is really about the opportunity to serve you. And we'll talk a little bit at the end, like we normally do, just about what Giant does and how you could be a part of it. But even if you don't take any steps in that direction, the fact that you're tuning in today, we really want to be able to serve you in this time. So Maria, with that, I'm going to kind of hand the mic off to you. And what I've asked Maria to do is to pretend like the people that are tuning in today maybe are just starting out. And I know that many of you, that's not necessarily where you're at. Maybe you've been doing this a little while. Others, though, I know, based on the guides and consultants that we work with, this is kind of a new thing. And so I've asked Maria to say, hey, if you could talk to a new consultant, newish consultant, and you could kind of bestow some of your best advice of what you've learned building your own successful practice, what might that be? And she's got a few things today to be able to do it. We even got one of our founders tuning in. Steve's listening in as he grills dinner live from London. Love that.
Oh, awesome.
Lots of Maria love. So Maria, I'm going to let you take it over here. Everybody else, I'm going to be hanging out in the chat rooms, in the comments. Please do drop any questions that you've got. If something that Maria is sharing prompts something that you would like to ask her a question or something in general about what Giant does, feel free to drop that in as a chat or a comment at any time. I'll gather those up, and then as we kind of get toward the end of this call here in another 15 or 20 minutes, we'll pause and answer some of those questions. I'll bring them to Maria so that she can share. But with that, Maria, I'll let you take over from here.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, speaking of Steve Cockrum, it was about 6 years ago, right around this time of the year, that I was considering making a shift, making a change in careers. And Steve happened to be in Albuquerque earlier that year in May. I met him, I was impacted, and I reached out to him right around this time, said, how do I do what you do? How do I get involved with you guys? We had something called X-Core back then, and he said, come join us. And so I did. I missed the first retreat, but I jumped right in. And so I have been a client of Giant, and then I became a consultant. So I'm finishing up year number 6. It's hard to believe. It's been an amazing ride. But as I think about the fear that I had and all the concerns that come with starting your own business, I wanted to share a couple of things that really go around finding your clients and figuring out how you are going to work with that. So I'm going to give you 5 tips. There's no slides today, just me talking. So I'm going to give you 5 things that I would do and make sure that I am successful. I learned these along the way, so I hope that these help you, especially since we have so many consultants getting started. So the first one is to understand the nurture guardian voice. As you know, or as you will learn the 5 voices, you will realize that they make up 73% of the population. So chances are you are living with one, you're married to one, you're doing life with one, or you're going to be working with one. So understanding that voice is going to be really important. And where it's important when it comes to pitching your clients or talking to people, having conversations, really understanding that that voice is going to be important, because chances are the people who are going to make the decision to spend the money to hire a consultant, you're likely going to have a guardian and a nurture involved, or they're going to be involved in the actual structuring and planning and organizing of the training once you do close that deal. And one of the things that I have found is being organized for the sake of my clients. It has been really helpful, because there's always 1 or 2 people on the client side that want to know everything. They want to know what the year is going to look like. They want to know what the engagement is going to entail. They want to be prepared, or they want to prepare people that are under them. So be organized. Make sure that you are clear on what you're offering. And I love that now with the Invincible operating system, it's gotten simpler as far as having a system that we are offering that is repeatable, that is sustainable, that is going to reach everyone inside the organization. One of the things that I do with my clients is that I book the entire engagement early on. So if I'm going to engage for 12 months, we have dates in the calendar for the entire 12 months. And so people know that those meetings are going to happen, the length, whatever else, other information they need, they can plan around them, they can work around them. And so you're not interfering with quarterly meetings or with executive retreats or whatever it is. You put your dates in the calendar, and that is going to alleviate a lot of stress for some of your clients. So make sure you get organized and understand, because it's usually the nurturers and the guardians that want to know all that stuff. The other people are like, we'll figure it out month to month. But usually the clients that I end up working with, someone wants to know, let's get these in the calendar. Number 2 is, I would say, leverage your experience. I remember 6 years ago starting this and figuring, thinking, my goodness, who do I begin to talk to? And so a little bit about my background. I spent 20 years in the construction industry. I studied construction engineering, civil engineering. That is my world. So it was very natural for me to go back there. 6 years now ahead, I'm telling you, I have instant credibility with anyone that is involved in construction engineering, architecture, subcontracting, because, and these are the words they use to describe me, you're one of us. And so if you have experience in an industry, start there. Start with that network, because your examples are going to be around that experience that you have. It's going to make people feel like, oh, she does understand. He does see what we see. So if you had experience in a previous life, in a specific market or sector, then start there. Start with that network, reach out, tell them you are bringing leadership concepts, principles that are going to change the industry. And that's part of my mission, is I want to change the construction world. I want to change the raise up liberators inside that segment. So I would say start there, start with that network, leverage the experience that you have. And let's say you don't have a construction background or marketing background or education or whatever it is. chances are you've had leadership experience. And so use those personal examples as you talk to people about what you can do, what you want to do inside that organization, because people want to know that you've encountered some of these things. And when you bring that experience to the table, I often have more examples of things I would have done differently than examples of things that I did well. And that really helps people understand, oh, yes, I would have done the same thing you would have done. And I always explain, I wish I had these principles. I would have handled that differently. I would have done this or that. I think I was a good manager. I think I was a good boss. But these are the things that I would have done differently had I had Giant to begin with. So there's that tip number 2. So first of all, understand the guardian nurturer voice. Second, leverage your experience. Talk to those networks. Make sure people, you're reaching those people that are doing what you used to do. Number 3, know what works and confidently make recommendations to your clients. Sometimes I think I was guilty in the beginning of just, well, what do you want? What do you guys need? What can, who can I start with? And kind of being a little wishy-washy and ambiguous about, because we could have done this, we could have done that, we could reach with, this group or not. Now I'm very confident about what I offer my clients, and they're looking for that from you. They're looking for that certainty that you know what you're doing and you know where to start. Invincible operating system makes that so easy. Be very confident about what you offer. I used to say, well, we can start with one workshop, or maybe I can coach one person. Now I'm very clear. I need access to the C-suite. I need to talk to the people that are in charge. I need to begin work with them, and I need at least a year's worth of work with that person. And I know what the program is going to look like. And so when I ask for that, then usually that's where I get started. If I can get started with that group of people, then we really begin to make an impact inside the organization, because as you know, leaders define culture. And if I can get access to the top leaders inside the organization, it's only a matter of time. And I'll tell you, most of my clients I've had for 3 to the entire 6 years that I've been doing this. Because after a while, you move positions. You initially start as the consultant, and I move into almost a pseudo executive position. So I end up being a trusted advisor inside that executive team, because I spent so much time with them. I understand what they're going through, and I understand who they are. So I get to wear my executive hat in several organizations as a result. So whatever it is you are going to recommend, don't be wishy-washy about it. Don't say whatever you guys want. Be confident about whatever solution that you recommend to your client. That is going to make them feel like you know what you're doing, because you do. And so that's going to be important that you are clear on what that looks like. All right, so understand the nurture guardian voice. Make sure you leverage your experience, know what works, and be confident about what you're recommending. Number 4 is overserve and overdeliver. Sales, marketing, business development, that is not my favorite thing to do in the world. But one giant gave me some amazing advice early on. He said, Maria, don't sell, just serve. I couldn't have received better advice. And so I began to serve. And so once a client engages with me, especially if you're just getting started, over deliver, over serve. Don't be thinking, well, I didn't really charge them for that hour, or I wasn't planning on doing this one-on-one with them. Make sure that you are going above and beyond to make that client happy, ecstatic, wondering what they did without you. Can't imagine life without you in different roles, because I've played different roles with different clients. Make sure that you are reaching out to them, thinking about them, talking to them, staying in touch, following up. Whatever it is, it's not just that one-time engagement. It's making sure that you are following up with them. Sometimes it's just, if you can, have a meal, breakfast, lunch, keep in touch with your clients, over deliver, over serve, especially those first few clients, because they're going to remember that. And to my next point, they are going to either recommend the experience, or they're going to say, yeah, take it or leave it. We could have used someone else. No, you don't want that kind of. You want to say, you have to hire Maria. You have to hire Chris. You have to have, because they are so in love with that whole experience, what you're doing for them, what you're delivering. So make sure that you don't count those hours, those minutes when you're establishing a business. You want every one of your clients to be delighted and excited that they make the decision to pay you to help them. All right, so that was number 4. Number 5 is ask for referrals or recommendations. In preparation for this, I looked at my backlog for 2021, and it is full. I've got work for the entire year, and 2 of the major clients that came from that was because one of my earlier clients helped close the deal for me. So I went and talked to these people. I pitched, I did whatever I did. I gave them a proposal. The guardians are looking at the money, right? Making sure that this is going to be worth it and they can afford to spend it. And there's usually someone in the decision-making body that says, can we talk to someone that you've already worked with? Do you have any referrals? Absolutely, I do. So I send them back. The same client has helped close it because their experience has been, you have to do this. You cannot not do this. This has made such an impact in our organization. This is going to be important. You need to make sure that you, at one point, hire Maria to work with your team. And so as a result, I've closed some businesses there, some work that is going to keep me busy. So again, these all tie together, right? It's over delivering, it's making sure people have a good experience, and then leveraging those folks. I always ask permission. Can I have so-and-so call you because they're on the verge of making that decision? And it's usually one of my clients that ends up being that final straw that people decide, okay, that's the last thing I needed to know. I absolutely am sure at this point that we're going to work with Maria now. And so now I have a group of people that I can call on and say, you can speak to any of these folks. They'll be happy to share their experience. And I want them to be honest. I want them to be honest about the time commitment and how difficult it can be to make some of the changes that I'm asking them to make, or to the perspective that I'm asking them to adopt. So it's a great thing to ask for referrals, or to have your clients serve as recommendations for future clients. So those are the 5 things that I wish I had known when I had started my business. And I have a bonus because I thought of one more. So here's the bonus. Know who you like to work with. I can't tell you how important that is. In the beginning, you're willing to work with anyone who's willing to write you a check, right? Anyone who will say, yes, I'll engage with you, but you're not supposed to work with everyone. As I have worked with different companies, there are some companies that I hope I never stop working with. I absolutely love these people. I want to see them succeed and I want to see them grow. And there have been some clients where it's just not been a great fit. Not that we didn't have a good engagement and we didn't end well, but sometimes it's harder to work with some people than others. So understand very clearly who you want to work with. I found there's a sweet spot on the companies that I want to work with. They're usually in that 25 to maybe $250 million worth of revenue. It's maybe up to 500 employees, 100 to 500 employees. I love that group of people. Right now, I'm working with 2 organizations that are much bigger than that, and I'm enjoying that as well. But when I get to meet the leaders inside the organization, the CEO, the executives, usually that's where my sweet spot is. I need to get to those people first. I need to start there. But there's some people who value and absolutely love professional development. They make room for it on their budget. I love working with those people. If I have to convince someone that they should spend a few $100s on getting their employees a subscription online, that's usually not someone I want to work with. If that is a hard sell for them, they're not going to want what I want to do with them. So have clarity about who you love working with. Because I got to tell you, I tend to fall in love with my clients because I want to see them grow and I want to see them do well. So get clarity on that. So I hope those tips have helped you as you build your business. And at this point, Chris, I would love to hear from you. What questions can I answer?
Yeah, I love that. A couple of things just to resonate. I mean, obviously, I get to talk to people like Maria every single day. And so I hear a lot of those same words of advice. We had Dan on last month, some similarities there. Of course, when you're talking about referrals, I just read a post on LinkedIn today from another one of our consultants, Holly Moore, who, just recently posted about the fact that 100% of her business right now is connections from other people, right, that have referred her. And so just a lot of great wisdom. I love, Russell said gold, it's, I don't know if there's a better one word for it. So that's really good. We did have a couple of questions. We pull those up. So going back to the very first one, we were talking about knowing the guardian and the nurturer voice and the importance to kind of have those details and to be a little organized coming in. What would you suggest for somebody who maybe feels like they're not naturally built that way? Maybe they struggle with organization naturally. And so what can they do to shore that up to be able to serve some of those important people that are on the other side of them?
Two things you can do. First is find someone who is naturally organized and ask them, what do you do? And whether you call me or you call some of the other people that are naturally organized and say, what do you use? And I've shared spreadsheets and I've shared, just the way I organize myself. Sometimes I'll just talk to some other consultants and just tell them, this is how I would put this together, or give them an example of what I've done in the past. So tap someone, don't go reinventing wheels, just talk to someone who's already done it. Number two, I have an assistant and I'm a guardian, but my assistant is a guardian's guardian. And so sometimes she handles some of that stuff that I know what I want. I just don't have the patience or the time to organize some of those things. And in the beginning, it was 3 to 5 hours a week. It is well worth the investment to have someone organize you. If that's not something that you naturally do, then tap someone who does and can help you for a few hours. In the beginning, it was difficult. I don't think I could have afforded an assistant in the beginning, and it was, should I do this? I can handle all these things by myself. Once I made the decision, that is the easiest and the best expense I have every week is to pay someone to help me stay organized.
I love that. And to me, we're talking about building business, right? This is a consulting business, and part of a growing business is understanding where you need help, where you need to bring somebody on to partner with you. And sometimes that's that first kind of gut check moment, right? When you kind of have to share a little bit of the income that you're doing in order to reinvest in the business to be able to get the help that you need. But I would be willing to bet, Maria, that there's some clients that maybe you love the client, right? They're the clients you want to have, but the type of work that you're having to do, you don't necessarily love. And so that's really not setting yourself or them up for success if those pieces of the work that you're doing with them is actually tarnishing the good work that you enjoy. It's the right client. You just need some assistance with some of the stuff that maybe you're not as good at or you don't enjoy as much.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I think, Chris, and if I think about it, I have to look at my numbers, but I think my revenue has almost doubled since I've had an assistant. So the money will be there to pay someone to help.
Yeah, I know your assistant. She needs to use that stat to advertise her business. I helped Maria double her business when she started using me.
She should.
Okay, another one. I hear all the time about the importance of building custom solutions for clients. This idea that you serve the clients where they're at. You just don't come in and cookie cutter them to death. But how do you balance that? Because I think you coming in saying, I know what you need, or I have confidence in what I'm bringing, but also being willing to listen and adapt. Like, how do you do that? How do you balance between those two sides?
The process is always the same. The content is what changes. So the customization comes in the content, the frequency that I meet with them, the initial meetings, all of those are usually the same. Where the customization comes is, especially in the iOS, that initial, when you get them going on a year round, it's going to be on where they need the most help. But it's going to be the same process over and over every single year. And when I think about the work that I do with clients, the stuff that I did with them early on is really, it's the same process that I'm following. It's just that I customize the content to what they need right now first before we go into other territory. Now, there's a couple of foundational things that we always cover. There's foundational tools and the voices that we give to everyone in the beginning, because that helps us have conversations later on. But it's not a different process. It hasn't been for the last 6 years. I follow the same process, which is very similar to the iOS. I mean, that was built by the consultants that what we've seen work for us. So it's very, very similar to what I've been doing. But the sequence, in what tools, in what content, that's where the customization can come from.
Yeah, and I think that's tricky, but that's the importance right there. And obviously, we're talking about some giant things here, Invincible Operating System, and some of the things that we've built. But you know, I think you said something early on when you were talking about don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Like don't feel like you have to go out there. And if you have that mindset where you're literally coming in and like custom fitting every single aspect of what you're doing with a client, you know, that may improve the experience marginally, but I think the time value of what you're investing in having to create something over and over again, I think you're right. For Giant, that's the benefit that we have, is that what we're presenting has been vetted. And you and I were talking right before we jumped on here about one of our core products that we're still getting feedback from consultants. And we told our consultants yesterday, we said, look, this is a great offering built on the end user experience of us working in the leadership space for decades, right? With clients all over the world. It's solid, but it's not perfect. And we hear back from them. And so we're like, the things that we're putting out many times have been honed by people like you that have been out there in the field using it. So I think that's the good balance between those, of saying, come in knowing what you're good at, knowing the value that you have to bring, and then be willing to tweak it and adjust it. All right, one more question, and then we got to tie up. Someone says, if I'm just starting out in consulting, so I'm not really fully confident in me yet. Like, there's a lot of those things that you talk about, being confident and bringing your experience. What would you say to someone who's just fresh? How do they portray that confidence when they haven't really been at this very long?
Never practice on a potential paying client.
That's good.
All right. So practice in front of friends, practice on someone who's not going to be your client necessarily, and get some honest feedback. If you start reaching out to your network and you don't feel great about how you're delivering yet, you may potentially blow an opportunity for someone who could have been a client. So early on, one of the things that I did is that I got into a I don't even know what we call them, Chris, a group of just other consultants where we got together and we would practice on each other, and we would critique each other. We were all kind of in the same boat, and we would meet on a weekly basis and just got better at what we were doing. But I think one of the mistake I heard other consultants make is they reached out to the network and they started delivering, but they weren't sure what they were doing and they weren't as confident yet. And people were like, yeah, thanks for letting me know. Never heard from them again, right? And not wise. So I would just say, make sure that you're practicing in front. I've sat down my family. I said, I'm going to deliver this thing called the 5 voices. I sat down a group of colleagues and I said, what made sense, what didn't make sense, until I did get that confidence, and five voices is one of my favorite things to deliver. But yes, I'm much more confident now. The other thing I would recommend, if you are to the point where you feel confident delivering the content or coaching people, but you're not sure about what you've just offered them or the proposal, run it by someone who does have experience. Run it by one of the giants that have already been doing this, and they'll tell you, don't, you're giving too much information here. This is not enough. Make sure you clarify this. I can't tell you, sometimes I'll have calls and people say, I don't even know what to offer. So I'll tell them, I would go with this. And they call back and say, they took it, they accepted it. Thank you so much for that coaching. I mean, 20-minute call with someone that knows what they're doing could mean the difference in the world between a client saying yes or no.
Yeah, I love that. And the only thing I would add to that too, because I've seen consultants have a lot of success, is don't go it alone, especially early. Like, find somebody else that's more experienced to go with you. And then what you can do is you can lean into them for some of the parts that you're not as confident that they have more experience, but you're gaining the experience. And then what's really great is at the end of that engagement, you sit back and you kind of do this curbside review, right? To say, how was it? Tell me what I should do differently next time. And that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And I love that. Practice on people who know and love you, that are not going to fire you because you don't know what you're doing. That's a very integral part of our training process, is going out there and practicing with, we call them people of peace, right? People that are on your side. They're fans of Maria. So, well, this has been really good. I lost you. I didn't mean to push you off the screen. Thank you so much, Maria, for being on here. Really, really, really helpful. I mean, I think back to when I was starting, you and I have had conversations when I was just getting started, and this has been invaluable. So I really appreciate you investing time in the people that are tuning in today. If you are tuning in and you're not so familiar with what Giant is doing with clients and consultants like Maria, I would encourage you to be able to check that out. You can do that by going to the URL that's on the screen, giantworldwide.com/accelerate. You can read all about our certification and training process, as well as you can click that button right there that says schedule info call. I would highly encourage you to do this if this is interesting to you at all. It's not a high sales thing. Nobody's going to be pressuring you into doing anything. We just want to help answer questions. And if Giant's a good fit that would really help you, we want to show you how to make that happen. You can click that button to do that. And then a couple of other things. Maria is actually, we do these live streams all the time. Maria is actually a part of a group of women that are launching a brand new live stream next Monday afternoon. Talk about that just for a minute, Maria, if you would.
Yeah, a lot of women sometimes are hesitant to enter into leadership positions, or there's that insecurity, lack of confidence. So we're telling you, welcome to the table. Welcome to this conversation. We're going to be having conversations that are relevant if you are leading people, if you're leading progress, if you are involved, if you're a mom, you're a leader. And so welcome to the table. We're going to do a series the month of November, the first 2 Mondays in December, and we will be talking about all sorts of things, all things leadership and women. And the men are included too.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we can still show up. I'm probably going to be in the background listening in, because you get that group of women together. It's going to be amazing. So I'd encourage you, tune in. That's next Monday afternoon on Giant at 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you don't have a account yet, I would encourage you to create one. You can do that at giant.tv/free account. Again, all of this is free. Nothing costs you anything. We'll probably be live streaming that one to LinkedIn and Facebook as well. But there's so many more resources on Giant that are completely freely available. I would encourage you to be able to just go, if you're finding value in these, and actually create a free account to do that. Another one, obviously, is Tuesday afternoon. We'll have another one of these calls that we'll do specifically geared to those of you that are consultants. And we're going to be talking about data-driven consulting. And we're a big proponent of starting with reality. And we'll talk about how we do that, why we do that, and some tips and tricks for you to be able to do that, so that you're actually working from a place of objective reality, objective data, and how important that is to actually affect change and to create value for the clients that you're serving. So would love to have you be a part of that. That's next Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Yes, that's election day here in the U.S. I guarantee you this is going to be better than anything else you're going to see on a screen on
For
Tuesday afternoon. So tune in for this Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. And again, Maria, thank you for taking the time to be on here and sharing your wisdom. Appreciate your heart and just all that you've learned. I know that you are a teacher at heart, and you equip so many other consultants in our world with the things that you've learned along the way. So thank you again for tuning in.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in today. Hope to see you next week. Join us Monday for Maria and the gangs. Welcome to the table, and then join us on Tuesday afternoon for the next installment of Accelerate Your Consulting. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.